Hi there. Long time no hear. Other trucker in is September. I don't know what day it is. Is that sad that I don't know what day it is? September 16th, Sunday is today. I'm currently in Shippensburg, PA. I'm at the U.S. Express terminal. For those of you who I haven't explained it to or you don't understand, Total is the company I actually work for, but we are owned by U.S. Express. U.S. Express doesn't govern any of our policies or anything, but we just so basically I have access to U.S. Express stuff. As a matter of fact, my paycheck comes in as being from U.S. Express, so it's one of those things. So I have access to all the U.S. Express terminals around the country, which is a lot more than Total terminals. So anyways, we use this one in Shippensburg a lot for Pennsylvania stuff. I brought a load here late last night, early this morning, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute. So what do y'all think about my haircut? It's still undercut, but I got it short here in the back, and then I still have some length on the front, almost like I used to have it when Caitlin got married. Maybe when Chandra got married too. I think I had it that same way then. Anyways, I don't really have an excuse for not having a good. I mean, I guess I kind of have gotten real absorbed in the day to day. Of course, I don't hear back from you guys like I really would like to. Carrie checks on me 2 or 3 times a week, and Caitlin has started checking on me, and that's about it. I try to reach out to you guys when I can and when I know that you're up. This week I've been driving a lot of nights, and so when I'm up thinking about you, you're probably sleeping. As a matter of fact, it's currently at, like 11:30ish, almost midnight Eastern Standard Time. So, I don't even know where to start. I just took a shower and cleaned up some of the trash out of my truck, and it's pretty organized, but I just kind of straightened it up. And so I had to get that all straight to try to get my mind straight. When you're in the shower, you think about what you want to say. So I thought about stuff, but it was so hot in that shower, I had to hurry up and got out of there. So I really am not clear on what all I want to say to you guys. Let me tell you the story of what happened to me last night, because it's kind of funny in a way. I came from Springfield, Ohio to bring this load here, and it brings you on mostly I-70 East. Well, at some point, I-76 comes into that, and to be honest with you, I don't pay attention that much. It depends on. Last night I was listening to one of my podcast things. I've really gotten into NPR One. It's not just news. There's game shows and interesting stuff on there. I'm back. It keeps my mind from just vegging out. Anyways, I was listening to NPR One and wasn't really paying close attention to the roads, but I saw a sign that said I-76. Everybody on I-76 has to come to, exit at such and such exit. And I was like, well, I looked at my GPS and it said I was on I-70. I just thought that, 76 would separate off and I wouldn't have to mess with it. So I'm going, and I noticed that there's fewer and fewer cars and trucks, and I'm like, I guess it's getting later at night, It's about 2:30, maybe 3, I don't know. So then all of a sudden, there's big flashing lights and all the traffic, which is just me, really, had to exit at the exit off the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And I've done that before. It's not really a big deal, but keep in mind it's 2:30 in the morning, and I get off the exit and there's no signs. There's no detour signs. And my GPS automatically is starting to recalculate. It's telling me to go, turn, blah, 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 blah. So I follow it, and I thought, well, maybe, maybe it'll go ahead and just get me from here. It takes me back around. Puts me back on trying to get back on the interstate. So when I realized that, there's this little, on the left side, there's a little, I would call it, very loosely, it's a truck stop. More like a gas station for truckers. But there was like maybe 6 truckers parked there overnight, and it was pretty tight. But there was several of us truckers that were trying to figure out how to get east. Anyways, I pull into the truck stop, and there's a lady there, and she's going from pump to pump, asking all the truckers, are you getting gas? Are you getting fuel? No. That you can't stay. Go on, move on. Well, sure looks like you have a gas station, so if I want to stop and come inside and get, a Snickers bar, I guess I can't. But I just told her, I said, look, I'm just looking for directions to go east. And she was frustrated and angry, but she didn't really take it out at me, but I could tell. She runs inside and gets this piece of paper, and it has directions on it. So basically, for, I don't know, maybe 20 miles, I was on like a it was still a 4-lane road, but it wasn't interstate. It was mostly 55. And between that and the construction, it was like I was expecting to be here at 3:30 last night, and I didn't get here till 6 a.m. I say 3:30 this morning. I didn't get in till about 6 this morning. The other thing that happened to me was this particular terminal is not far from Interstate 81. And every time until last night that I've come here, I've come on 81. Well, last night I came in on I-76 East. Well, so it sends me off an exit, and when I get off the exit, man, it looks like it's like, it's just off the exit, but you get there and it's like, boom, there's nothing. And it says to turn right. So I turn right, and I go up, and then it says to take a left, and then take a right, and then another left. Yeah, something like that. Well, I see a sign that says detour in a quarter of a mile, but it doesn't say for which road. That was my problem. I was on 997, and I needed to go, I don't know where I needed to go, but I wound up on 614. And I don't know if you guys have ever driven like way up into the mountains. It's hilly. It's very tight. You have some really tight turns around the mountains, and I would probably have gone pretty slow in a car. So I wound up, long story short, the turn that my GPS was telling me to take, there was a big sign there that said road closed. I have a 53-foot trailer plus, 10 feet of truck. So you can't just turn around a 60, you just can't turn this shit around on a dime. So I'm like, fuck. And we're not actually, we could get in trouble for making a U-turn on a road like that. They said that it triggers our cameras, and then if they get us on camera doing a U-turn like that, we're fired automatically. Anyways, I can't make a U-turn. So I'm like, well, I'm stuck going this one direction on 614. Well, then it comes up, and it's not too bad at first, 2-lane, tight road. then it says, then there's, you come to a fork and there's like 614, which kind of looks like a dirt road, a gravel road maybe, and then there's 614 truck. So I took 614 truck, but oh my God, 12 miles. I went out of my way and had to, once I got to a place that I could get back on the interstate, it took me back to the same exit, which was 12 miles. So I went 12 miles west when I needed to go east. It took me an hour because some of the hills, some of the mountains, like my truck was literally only going like 16 miles an hour, and it was struggling to do that. I mean, granted, I had a very heavy load. It was like I want to say 40,000 pounds, which is, I mean, pretty much maximal. Anyways, I spent an hour like panicking, like my blood pressure was up, my heart rate was going. I was worried because you could see down the little mountain, you could see that down the mountain. No, I can't even describe it. I wish that I could have stopped and taken video for the purposes of you guys, but last night it was just no. So I finally got here at 6 a.m., but literally, seriously, I was like 3.5 hours later than I expected to be. So today when I got up, it was about 4 p.m., and I messaged dispatch, and I was like, you have a load for me? And he's like, not yet. And I was like, you know what? I said, I need a break from nighttime mountain driving. Let me just sit here and I can get a load tomorrow morning. So it's not quite a 34-hour break, but it gave me a chance to kind of just rest a little bit, which I'm going to do some more after this. I think another thing too is I'm still figuring stuff out, is really just the nice way of saying it. It's, my paychecks haven't been what I wanted them or I expected them to be. And so I was trying to figure out what's going on. So part of it was that I thought, well, my time management, because I like to have, when I get up in the morning, I like to have a couple hours, honestly. Just drink coffee, vape, and play on my phone. And I just wake up. It's not like I'm trying to be a procrastinator. It's just that I wake up real slow. And as a matter of fact, my friend Mika called me today as soon as I woke up, and she was like, what is wrong with you? You sound awful. And I was like, dude, I just woke up. You guys have no idea. So I've been working on time management and taking 10-hour breaks instead of 12 and 14-hour breaks. But part of it too is that I've really had to kind of push it. Let's say not lay down and just take whatever they give me. I've been just shutting my mouth and doing whatever they asked me to do, and sometimes that left me screwed over, and then I wouldn't say anything. So I've been ever since I was broke down a couple weeks ago. Oh, I have a story about that too. Ever since then, I've been more vocal. If I want to be rolling and I'm not rolling, they're paying me for it. I make sure that they do. If they take me off a 700-mile load to put me on a 70-mile load because it's a repower, I make sure I get compensated for that, and that's helping my paycheck. And so I'm starting to feel better about that. It kind of pisses me off that I have to be a bitch. I feel like I'm being a bitch, and it kind of pisses me off that I have to, but it is what it is. And I could go back to work for CBS and make $500 a week, and I I need my 800 to 1,000 a week that you told me I would get. So if I'm not getting it, there's a problem. So here's one of the benefits. This is half of it. I bought myself some new shoes. I had some downtime when I was in York, Pennsylvania the other day. Ooh, that's so pretty on the bottom. I like that. It looks different on camera, that's why. I was in York, Pennsylvania, and I had some time to kill before I actually had to go pick up a load. And I actually I bobtailed to a place to get something to eat, and then I went and got my shoes. I had a little, my paycheck this week was pretty decent, and so I was able to do that, and that makes me feel better that I could do a little something for me instead of just, taking the money and paying bills with it. Because I'm out here, this is my home. This is where I live. So I'm always working, really. Anyway, sorry. I feel like I went off on a tangent and that wasn't where I wanted to be. So on my last video, I don't know if you guys remember, I was broke down with the electrical, the problem with the electrical connection to my trailer. So I'll try to do this real briefly because I'm already at 16 minutes on this video. They had me wait for 3 days to go into the dealership. Well, then it turns out I couldn't go straight to the dealership. I had to put my truck in the U.S. Express shop for them to evaluate it. Well, when I had broke down on the road, I called and they sent out a tech, and he, I don't know what he did. He wiggled it, and he was like, you have lights for now. He's like, but it's not getting the ground. And he's like, a bump could knock it out. Well, so I was able, basically, when I went into the shop at U.S. Express in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio, after waiting 3 days, they were like, we can't find a problem. And they put me back on the road. So, I was like, damn it, but what can I do? So, I've actually been driving for 3 weeks with everything fine. Well, then I had a repower the other day, which let me explain a repower real quick. It's basically when one of the loads on a driver needs to, it's time sensitive. It's usually Amazon, FedEx, something like that, has to be there at a certain time, or either they charge us, they fine us, or something, So those ones that are time sensitive, if the driver runs out of time, or let's say their truck breaks down, they have to repower, which basically just means that another driver comes and gets the trailer. So there was a guy that had a load that was time sensitive, and they asked me to repower it. So, which that's another long story. I went to repower it, and I noticed, can't remember. Oh, he came to repower me because I had, anyways, long story short, we switched trailers, and he had a load that wasn't time sensitive, so it could be taken care of once I had my hours back. So when I plugged into that trailer, I had no lights again on the trailer, and I just had them on the last trailer. So I asked that driver, I was like, can you see if this can be plugged in better? Because I thought maybe it is because I'm short, and sometimes the trailer thing is really up high. Anyways, he had some electrical knowledge, and he took a look at it, and he said, you need to get this fixed. It's blah, blah, blah. And he basically reinforced what I already knew. So I actually finished off that load, but just barely. It was a FedEx load. And I took it to, it had to be in York, Pennsylvania by 8 p.m. that night. And I think I pulled in at like 8:01 or 8:02, so I just barely made it. And then when I went to, and I thought, well, maybe when I get an empty trailer, maybe that one will be fine. No, it wasn't. It's 8 o'clock at night in Pennsylvania, and I'm not going to chance it. So I call Breakdown. It just so happens that there's a Freightliner dealership right across the road, and they're open. Well, they told them they were open 24 hours, but they were only open till 11:30. So, anyways, I finally got my truck seen by Freightliner, and as far as I can tell, it's completely fixed now. The electrical light. When I plug in trailers now, I get light automatically. There's no wiggling. Things are good. Sometime when I can get another person to film, I'm going to show you guys the whole process of hooking up to a trailer, coupling and uncoupling, but I can't do it by myself, and I have to have like either a demonstrator or a camera person. Anyways, so that's fixed. What else was I going to tell you guys? I don't know. I do kind of, like when I was home in Loudon a couple of, maybe about a week ago. When was it, Lynn? I don't remember. Not that he can answer on the video, but I saw my friend Lynn real quick. I was only there for 34 hours, but I saw Lynn because he lives right in Loudon, and he said that it looked like I'd lost weight, and I'm kind of feeling like maybe I have a little bit. I don't eat a lot, really, and I don't, I think when I first started, every time I'd go into a truck stop, I'd buy something, and I don't do that anymore. Like, I really only get by one meal a day, and then I have all sorts of breakfast food, and I have some I have like sandwiches, and I don't even have chips that much. Like, I've taken a lot of pleasure lately. It's kind of sad, but it's not sad. I've taken a lot of pleasure lately, and instead of potato chips, I have like celery sticks or radishes or cucumbers or I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I'm still eating junk, but I'm adding some fresh vegetables into and I feel like between that and the fact that I'm not, when I worked at CVS and at Citibank, and I sat there on the phone all day, like, I was hungry all the time, and I was always eating, but I don't feel that way now. Like, the other day, I had to make myself eat a second time that day because I wasn't hungry, but I felt like I should eat a little something, So I don't know if it's just because I'm not eating as much. I'm not eating as much junk. I'm not sure what, but I do feel like maybe I'm a little more healthy than I was. I'm going to try to go to the doctor here fairly soon. And we'll see. Okay, I'm at 24 minutes, and it seemed like there were some other things I wanted to tell you guys, but I really can't remember. I've got, right now, Hurricane Florence is in the Carolinas, and I've got family in the Carolinas. All of my important family's there. But I checked on them all today. They're all alive and well and healthy. Chandra's been sending me a lot of pictures of the new baby. I got shoes. I don't know. Oh, the other thing, there was one other thing I want to tell you guys. Just because this happened, basically, sorry, it puts my mind into like I'm racing. My mind is racing now because there's other things that I've been meaning to make videos about, but I haven't. If you have a load that's over, let's say about 35,000 pounds, they expect you to scale it. Amy, you ask what scaling is. It's basically weighing the truck and the trailer for two purposes. Number one is I'm only licensed for a total gross value weight of 80,000 pounds. That's the truck, the trailer, and the freight. So if the freight itself runs over 35, then they expect you to scale it to verify that it's not over 80. Now there's another thing, and it gets complicated, but you also have to check and make sure that your tandems are correct. Basically, I'm just going to try to keep it simple. It's the way the weight's distributed on the axles. You guys may not know this, but the last axle, the one that's on the trailer, actually can move up and down the trailer. So like if you're this is your trailer and these are your back wheels, they can move back here or they can move up here, and this helps distribute the weight more evenly. So if you have a really heavy load, it depends on where the load's loaded. If it's all loaded up here, then you move your tandems up. But if it's distributed evenly, then you're going to move your tandems back. And the way you figure all that out is by scaling or getting on the weight on the scale and seeing what you have. And then you can either do like mathematical equations, or you can use the cheat app that I use called Trucker Slide Calculator. Mika told me about that one too. Anyways, I went to go scale because my load was heavy, and honestly, I had to get fuel, food, pee, and scale. So guess what I forgot about doing when I first pulled in? I forgot about scaling. So I pulled up to the pump, and I was like, crap, I need to go scale. Well, the way it was, I was on a pump here, and it was around that way where I had first pulled in. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get fuel, and then I'll go scale. And then when I go into the store to get food and pee, I can go ahead and get my weight too, my scale ticket. So when I pulled back out of the fuel pump to go out there, I noticed that there was a truck blocking it. So I had to turn around and come back into the fuel aisle. And I went and I thought, well, somebody's just, maybe taking a shower or getting some food. He'll be moved out, in a little bit. I didn't want to be a bitch about it. So instead of saying something right then, I just decided I'd wait. So I go in and take care of my other business. And then I go back out. I have to circle back around and go back around over here to the scale. And he's still there. And there's two guys standing in front of the truck. I don't know who's who. I don't know who belongs to what truck. But I pulled up and I rolled down my window and I said, "You're blocking the scale." And this one guy with dark hair, he's like, "Well, why don't you go get right on that?" He's like, "Go get the scale police and we'll go ahead and get that taken care of." And the other guy's like, "Well, do you need it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I need to scale." And the other guy was really rude with me about that I could get in there if I pulled around. Well, maybe I could have, but my truck would not have been sitting right on the scale, and the weight would have been off. So, because you need to pull straight on. And he had about a third of his truck blocking it, so I would have had to come on like this from the scale, even though the scale was like that. So I was just like, fuck it, and I went down the road to the Pilot and scaled. Actually, things were great, but yeah, I was really pissed. That's what I was gonna vent to you about, Carrie, was that guy really pissed me off because there was no need for it. It was just, all I said was, you're blocking the scale. And even if I said that harshly, I probably said, hey, you're blocking the scale. You know? I don't think there was a need for him to be that hateful about it. But anyways, I don't know. You know, I learn something new every day, and sometimes I have good days and sometimes I have bad days, and some days I want to give up and some days I don't. And regardless of my feelings, for right now, I'm committed to this for a year, at least a year, because, you know, basically this is what you have to go through to get to a better position. Like, I may not be making a lot of money right now, and I may not have any home but this truck, but if I stick this out for a year or two, then I can be in a situation where I drive, you know, I do a day cab where I'm just driving loads during, you know, an 8-hour shift, go home every night, that kind of thing. Once you have 2 years experience on the road, you can do whatever. I could get a job teaching, you know, once I do that, teaching CDL classes. I don't know. Although I don't think CDL classes pay much more than what I'm getting paid now. But to be home every day, I might just go through that. Anyways, I'm at 32 minutes, so that's all I'm going to give you guys for right now. And I'd like to hear more from you guys, in all seriousness. Text me, call me, I don't know, put something on my Facebook, I don't care, whatever. Yeah, I might be busy, but you might be busy too. And the only reason I don't text you is because, I mean, I have been working on texting and reaching out to some of you a little more often, in case you haven't noticed. So I'd appreciate it if you guys could do the favor back for me. Anyways, I love y'all, and Mother Trucker out. Bye.